I found out my husband was sleeping with his ex-wife the same day he stole $20,000 from our joint account and disappeared with our 4-year-old son's college fund. Let me back up because I need y'all to understand how I didn't see this coming. My name is Rosa, I'm 32 years old, and up until 3 months ago, I thought I had everything figured out. I was working at Crystal's hair studio in downtown LA, building my clientele, saving every penny I could for my dream, my own salon. Tim and I had been married for 6 years. We had our baby boy Jeffrey, who just turned 4 and was the light of my entire world. We weren't rich, but we were making it work. Or so I thought. Tim worked in sales for a tech company. Good job, decent money, and he always made sure I knew he was the one keeping us afloat. Rosa, baby, your little salon job is cute, he'd say. But let's be real. My check is what pays the mortgage. I let those comments slide because I loved him. I believed in us. I believed he was my partner. His family, though, that's where the cracks started showing, and girl, I should have paid more attention. Tim's mama, Patricia, never liked me. From day one, she made it crystal clear that I wasn't good enough for her precious son. Every Sunday dinner at their house in Inglewood was like walking into a battlefield. Tim's ex-wife Shanice used to make the best mac and cheese, she'd say, loud enough for everyone to hear. Rosa, you should get the recipe from her. Or, my personal favorite, Shanice knew how to keep a clean house. She had standards. Tim's sisters weren't any better. Nicole and Kenya would sit there, smirking, nodding along like backup singers in a hate chorus. Remember when Shanice threw that surprise party for Tim's 30th? Nicole would say, now that was a wife who knew how to treat her man. Kenya would add, yeah, and she always looked so put together. Not like she just rolled out of bed, you know? I'd sit there, cutting into my dry chicken, feeling my face burn with embarrassment while Tim said nothing. Not one word in my defense. They're just playing, babe, he'd tell me on the car ride home while Jeffrey slept in his car seat. You're too sensitive. But here's the thing about constant comparisons, they wear you down. After a while, you start believing maybe you aren't good enough. Maybe Shanice really was better. Maybe I was the downgrade. The worst part? I tried so hard to win them over. I brought homemade desserts to every gathering. I volunteered to help with family events. I smiled through their passive-aggressive comments and bit my tongue until it bled. I wanted to be the daughter-in-law they bragged about, the wife they respected. But nothing I did was ever enough. Why did you and Shanice break up anyway? I asked Tim one night after a particularly brutal family dinner. We were lying in bed, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was competing with a ghost. He rolled over, barely looking at me. We grew apart. Why are you bringing this up? Because your family acts like she was Michelle Obama, and I'm just nobody. Rosa, you're tripping. My family loves you. That was the biggest lie he ever told me, and I knew it even then. But I wanted to believe him so badly that I convinced myself I was imagining things. The affair started about 8 months before I found out. Looking back, all the signs were there, flashing like neon lights in the Vegas Strip. Tim started working late. Like, real late. 3, 4 times a week. Big project at work, babe. You know how it is. His phone was glued to his hand, face down on every surface. He'd shower as soon as he got home, even before saying hi to Jeffrey. He stopped touching me. No kisses. No cuddles on the couch. Nothing. When I tried to talk about it, he'd flip it on me. Maybe if you weren't so tired all the time from standing on your feet all day, I'd be more interested. Or, you've really let yourself go since having Jeffrey. I'm just being honest. Those words cut deeper than any knife. I started working out at 5 a.m. before my shift. I bought new lingerie I couldn't afford. I cooked his favorite meals. I twisted myself into shapes trying to be whatever he wanted, and it still wasn't enough. The day everything fell apart started like any other Tuesday. I dropped Jeffrey off at daycare, kissed his chubby cheeks, and headed to the salon. I had back-to-back clients, a full highlight, 2 silk presses, and a wash and
set.
My hands were tired, my feet were screaming, but I had a smile on my face because I was good at what I did. My clients loved me. At work, I was valued. At work, I was enough. Around 2 p.m., I got a text from our bank. Large withdrawal made from joint account. Current balance, $347.82. My heart dropped into my stomach. I opened our banking app with shaking hands, and that's when I saw it. $20,000.
Gone.
Transferred out that morning at 9:47 a.m. I called Tim 17 times. Every call went straight to voicemail. I texted him. Where is our money?
Call.
Me now. Nothing. I called his job. Mr. Jenkins didn't come in today, his assistant said. Is everything okay?
No.
Everything was not okay. I left work early, telling Crystal I had a family emergency. I picked up Jeffrey from daycare and drove home, with my mind racing. Maybe there was a mistake. Maybe someone hacked our account. Maybe Tim moved the money to savings and forgot to tell me. I created 1,000 excuses because the truth was too terrifying to consider. Our apartment door was unlocked when I got home. I walked in carrying Jeffrey on my hip, and my stomach twisted when I saw Tim's closet empty.
His clothes gone. His shoes gone.
His toiletries from the bathroom
gone.
On our bed, the bed we'd shared for 6 years, was a note written on the back of a gas station receipt. Rosa, I can't do this anymore. I'm not happy. I haven't been for a long time. The money is mine too. I earned it. Don't try to find me. I'll send something for Jeffrey when I can.
T.
That's it. 14 years together, if you count dating. 6 years of marriage. 4 years of raising a child. Together. And I got a gas station receipt with 3 sentences. I stood there in our bedroom, reading that note over and over while Jeffrey played with his toy cars on the floor. And something inside me just broke. Not like a clean break. Like shattered glass, into a million pieces I didn't know how to put back together. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted with your whole heart, you know that feeling. That moment when your entire reality shifts and you realize the life you thought you had was built on lies.
Drop a
comment and let me know. Have you ever had someone you loved just walk away like you meant nothing? Because right then, that's exactly how I felt. Like nothing. I called Tim's mama, hoping maybe she knew where he was, hoping maybe she'd help me understand. Patricia, Tim's gone. He took all our money and left. Do you know where he is? There was a pause. Then she said the words that made everything click into place. Well, Rosa, a man does what a man has to do. Maybe if you'd been a better wife, he wouldn't have needed to go back to Shanice. Back to Shanice. Those 3 words hit me like a freight train. He wasn't just gone. He was with her. His ex-wife. The woman his family had been comparing me to for 6 years. The woman they'd been worshipping like a patron saint while treating me like I was temporary. You knew, I whispered into the phone. You all knew he was cheating on me with her. Cheating is a strong word, Patricia said coldly. Tim and Shanice have history. They have a connection. They never should have divorced in the first place. You were just a distraction. She hung up on me. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone in my hand, and started laughing. Not because anything was funny, but because if I didn't laugh, I was going to scream. Or cry. Or both. Jeffrey looked up at me with those big brown eyes, so innocent, so unaware that his daddy had just blown up our entire world. Mommy okay? He asked. Yeah, baby, I lied, scooping him into my arms and holding him tight. Mommy's okay. But I wasn't okay. I was so far from okay, I couldn't even see it from where I was standing. The next few days were a blur. I tried to work, but I couldn't focus. I burned a client's scalp with a flat iron and had to comp her entire appointment. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. Every time my phone buzzed, I hoped it was Tim saying this was all a mistake, that he was coming home. It never was. The bills started piling up. Rent was due in a week, and I had $347.82 to my name. I called my own mama in Atlanta, but she was barely making it herself. Baby, I wish I could help, but I just don't have it. My two best friends, Keisha and Monica, helped where they could, bringing groceries, watching Jeffrey when I had to work. But they had their own families, their own struggles. I went to the police to report the theft, but they told me since it was a joint account, it wasn't theft. It's a civil
matter, ma'am.
You'll need to handle it in divorce court. Divorce court? With what money? I couldn't even afford rent. Tim's family blocked me on everything. His sisters, his mama, even his cousins I thought I was cool with.
I
was erased from their lives like I never existed. And Tim? He changed his number. I had no way to reach him. No way to demand answers. No way to get child support for our son. The eviction notice came 2 weeks later. 30 days to vacate. I stared at that paper taped to my door and felt my knees buckle. Where was I supposed to go? What was I supposed to do? I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I thought about giving up. I thought about calling CPS and telling them I couldn't take care of Jeffrey. I thought about driving my car off the Pacific Coast Highway. Dark thoughts, the kind that creep in when you're drowning and can't see the surface. But every time I looked at my son, I couldn't do it. He didn't ask for this. He didn't deserve a mama who quit. So I kept pushing, even though I had no idea how I was going to survive. If you're feeling this story, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel because what comes next is going to
shock you.
Trust me, you don't want to miss how this journey unfolds. The day I moved into the women's shelter with Jeffrey was the lowest point of my entire life. New Horizons Women's Center was on the east side of LA, tucked between a laundromat and a corner store, with bars on the windows. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't even nice. But it was a roof over our heads, and that's all that mattered. I pulled up in my beat-up Honda, with everything we owned shoved in trash bags in the trunk. Clothes, toys, a few dishes, and the picture of Jeffrey as a baby that I couldn't bring myself to leave behind even though Tim was in it. The intake coordinator, a heavy-set black woman named Miss Paula, sat across from me in a small office that smelled like instant coffee and desperation. She had kind eyes, the kind that had seen 1,000 women like me walk through those doors. "How long were you married?" she asked, pen poised over her clipboard. 6 years. "And he just left? Took all the money?" I nodded, unable to speak without crying. She sighed, the sound of someone who'd heard this story too many times. "Honey, you're not the first and you won't be the last. But you're here, and that's what matters. That means you're fighting." Fighting. I didn't feel like I was fighting. I felt like I was barely surviving, like I was treading water in the middle of the ocean with no land in sight. The shelter had rules. Strict ones. Curfew at 9 p.m. No visitors. Everyone had chores. Mandatory counseling. Sessions twice a week. We got a small room with 2 twin beds, a shared bathroom down the hall, and access to a communal kitchen. Jeffrey and I slept in the same bed that first night, his little body curled against mine, and I cried so hard I thought I might drown in my own tears. "Mommy's sad," Jeffrey whispered in the dark. "No, baby. Mommy's just tired." Another lie. I was getting good at those. The other women at the shelter became my unexpected sisters. There was Maria, a Latino woman in her 40s, who'd escaped her husband after he put her in the hospital 3 times. Jasmine, a young black girl, only 21, who'd been kicked out by her family when she got pregnant. And Donna, a white woman in her 50s who'd lost everything when her husband ran off with her best friend and bankrupted their business. We were all broken in different ways, but we understood each other. No judgment. No pity. Just women trying to survive another day. "Your man cheat?" Jasmine asked me one morning while we were making breakfast in the kitchen. She was frying eggs while I made oatmeal for Jeffrey. "Yeah, with his ex-wife." She sucked her teeth. "Girl, that's cold." "His ex? That's disrespectful on a whole other level. And his family knew, I added, stirring the oatmeal harder than necessary. They were in on it the whole time, making me feel like I wasn't good enough. Maria, who was making coffee, turned around. Let me tell you something, Mija. When a man's family treats you like trash, he gave them permission. Remember that. He could have shut it down, but he didn't. That tells you everything. Her words hit different. She was right. Tim let his family disrespect me for years because, deep down, he didn't respect me either. I was convenient. A placeholder until he could get back with Shanice.
The anger started then.
Hot and sharp, cutting through the sadness.
Good.
Anger I could work with. Sadness just made me want to give up. Crystal, my boss at the salon, let me come back to work, but she couldn't give me as many hours as before. Money was tight, and she had bills too. I was making maybe $300 a week, barely enough to put gas in my car and buy diapers for Jeffrey. The shelter provided food and housing, but I needed to save. I needed a plan. I needed a way out. That's when Miss Paula told me about their job training program. We partner with local businesses, she explained during one of our mandatory counseling sessions. They teach resume building, interview skills, financial literacy, and we can help you get certifications in different fields. I already have a skill, I said. I'm a hairstylist. Then let's build on that. You got a license? I nodded. I'd worked hard for that cosmetology license, spent 2 years in school while working part-time, and raising a baby. Good. So what's your dream? You want to stay working for someone else forever, or you want your own thing? My own thing.
My own salon.
That dream felt like a lifetime ago, back when I had $20,000 and a husband I thought loved me. I want my own salon, I whispered. I've always wanted that. Miss Paula smiled. Then, that's what we're gonna work toward. But first, you gotta get stable. You gotta heal. You gotta remember who you were before this man made you forget. Those counseling sessions saved my life. I'm not even exaggerating. Twice a week, I sat with Miss Paula and talked about everything. My marriage, my childhood, my fears, my anger. She made me see that I'd lost myself, trying to please Tim and his family. I'd shrunk myself down, made myself smaller, quieter, less demanding, hoping that would make them love me. Rosa, you can't make someone value you, Miss Paula said. And you definitely can't build a life on someone else's foundation. You gotta build your own. So that's what I started doing, building my own foundation, brick by brick. I picked up extra clients at the salon, working doubles on weekends when Jasmine or Maria could watch Jeffrey. I saved every single dollar. I stopped buying anything that wasn't absolutely necessary. I wore the same 3 outfits on rotation. I cut my own hair. I made sandwiches instead of buying lunch. Every penny went into a jar I kept hidden under my bed at the shelter. At night, after Jeffrey fell asleep, I'd sit in the communal area and research. I read every article I could find about starting a salon. I watched YouTube videos about small business loans, marketing, branding. I took notes in a composition notebook, filling page after page with plans and dreams and numbers. You really think you can do this? Donna asked me one night. She was crocheting a blanket, her hands moving on autopilot. Start your own business from nothing? I have to, I said simply. For Jeffrey. For me. I can't stay stuck like this. That's the spirit, baby girl. Maria chimed in from the couch where she was watching a telenovela. You got that fire. Don't let nobody put it out. The months crawled by. Jeffrey started pre-K at a program connected to the shelter. I kept working, kept saving, kept planning. My jar of money grew slowly, $50, then $100, then $200. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Nobody could take it from me. I didn't hear from Tim. Not once. No child support. No birthday card for Jeffrey. Nothing. It was like he'd vanished off the face of the earth. His family still had me blocked. I tried looking up Shanice on social media, but she blocked me too. They were living their life while I was sleeping in a shelter, and that burned me up inside. But you know what? That anger became fuel. Every time I wanted to quit, I thought about Tim and Shanice.
Probably laughing about me.
I thought about Patricia telling her church friends how I wasn't good enough for her son. I thought about how they all expected me to fail, to disappear, to be forgotten. And I refused to give them that satisfaction. Let me ask y'all something. Have you ever been in a situation where people counted you out? Where everyone expected you to fail? Drop a comment and let me know, because I need you to understand something. Those people who doubt you, who disrespect you, who throw you away like you're nothing, they're gonna be your biggest motivation. If you enjoyed this story so far, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because the comeback is always stronger than the setback. After 6 months at the shelter, I had $1,800 saved. Not enough to rent an apartment, but enough to feel like maybe, just maybe, I could make something happen. Crystal pulled me aside one day at the salon. "Rosa, I need to talk to you," she said, and my heart sank. I thought she was about to cut my hours even more. "What's up?" "I'm getting old, girl. My arthritis is acting up, and I'm thinking about selling the salon. I wanted to tell you first." My stomach dropped. "Selling? Crystal, this job is all I have." "I know, baby. And that's why I'm telling you. If I sell to someone else, I can't guarantee they'll keep you on. But—" She paused, looking at me with those wise brown eyes. "If you want to buy it, I'll give you first shot. I'm asking $50,000, but I'd go down to $40,000 for you." $40,000. I had $1,800. "Crystal, I can't afford that." "Not yet. But you're a fighter, Rosa. I see it in you. You got something special. Think about it." I thought about it every single day after that. $40,000 might as well have been $1 million. I'd been working for months and barely scraped together $2,000. At this rate, it would take me years to save that much. And by then, Crystal would have sold to someone else. But I couldn't let the dream die. I went to the library and checked out books about business loans. I met with a financial counselor through the shelter's program. I learned about SBA loans, crowdfunding, investors. None of it seemed possible for someone like me. No credit, no collateral, no cosigner. "You need to build your credit first," the counselor told me. "Get a secured credit card, make small purchases, and pay it off every month. In a year, maybe 2, you might qualify for a small business loan." A year or 2. Crystal didn't have that kind of time. I was sitting in the shelter's courtyard one evening, watching Jeffrey play on the rusty swing set, when Jasmine sat down next to me. She'd gotten a job at Target and was saving to get her own place. "You look stressed," she said. I told her about Crystal's offer, about the impossible amount of money I needed, about how my dream was slipping through my fingers. "Girl, you know what you need?" Jasmine said. "A miracle. And I don't say that to be funny. Sometimes you do everything right, work your butt off, and you still need that one break, that one door to open." I'm not sure I believe in miracles anymore. You should. You're still here, aren't you? You didn't give up when your husband left. You didn't give up when you lost everything. You're still fighting. That's a miracle right there. Maybe she was right. Maybe just surviving was its own kind of miracle. I kept working,
Kept saving.
kept praying for a break. And then, exactly 8 months after I moved into that shelter, my miracle walked through the salon door. Her name was Vivian Martinez, and she was a real estate developer from Beverly Hills. She came in for a silk press, and I remember thinking she looked out of place at Crystal's designer handbag, diamonds on her fingers, shoes that probably cost more than my car. "You're really good," she said as I worked through her thick hair with the flat iron. "How long have you been doing hair?" 10 years. Since I was 22. We talked while I worked. She asked about my life, and for some reason I opened up. Maybe because she was a stranger and I'd never see her again. Maybe because I was tired of carrying everything alone. I told her about Tim, about the shelter, about my dream of owning my own salon. When I finished her hair, she looked in the mirror and smiled. Beautiful. You have a real gift. She handed me a tip, $200. My hands shook as I took it. That's too much, I said. No, honey, it's not enough. She reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. I invest in small businesses, particularly women-owned businesses. If you're serious about opening a salon, call me. I'd like to hear your pitch. I stared at that card like it was made of gold. Vivian Martinez, CEO, Martinez Development Group. Are you serious? Dead serious. I see something in you. Call me. She left, and I stood there in the middle of the salon, holding that card, and for the first time in months, I felt something I'd almost forgotten.
Hope.
If you want to see what happens next, make sure you're subscribed to this channel because Rosa's story is about to take a turn nobody saw coming. The question is, what would you do with an opportunity like this?
Would
you take the risk? Let me know in the comments. I stared at Vivian Martinez's business card for 3 days before I got the courage to call her. 3 whole days of doubt eating away at me. What if she was just being nice? What if she didn't really mean it? What if I called and she didn't even remember me? What if I wasn't good enough? What if this was just another disappointment waiting to happen? Miss Paula found me in the shelter's courtyard on the 3rd evening, pacing back and forth with my phone in one hand and that card in the other. Child, what are you doing? She asked. I told her everything. About Vivian, about the card, about my fear of taking the leap. Miss Paula looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Rosa, you've been given a door. A literal door. And you're standing here scared to knock. Baby, the worst she can say is no. You already know what no feels like. You've been living in no for almost a year. What you don't know is what yes feels like. Don't you think it's time you found out? She was right. I'd already hit rock bottom. I'd already lost everything. What did I have to lose by trying? I called Vivian the next morning. My hands were shaking so bad, I almost dropped the phone. Vivian Martinez, she answered, her voice crisp and professional. Hi, Ms. Martinez? This is Rosa. I did your hair last week at Crystal's salon. You gave me your card and said to call about. Rosa. Yes, of course I remember you. I'm so glad you called. Are you free tomorrow afternoon? I'd love to sit down and talk about your business plan. Business plan. I didn't have a business plan. I had a notebook full of dreams and Google searches. Yes, I'm free. I lied. I'd make myself free. I'd call in sick to work if I had to. Perfect. Meet me at my office at 2 p.m. The address is on the card. And Rosa? Bring that fire I saw in you. That's what I'm investing in. I showed up to her office in Century City, wearing my best outfit. A black dress I'd gotten from the shelters. Donation closet and shoes I'd borrowed from Maria. I felt like a fraud walking into that sleek glass building with its marble floors and modern art on the walls. Everyone looked expensive, put together, successful. And there I was, a homeless hairstylist with a 4th-grade son and a dream that felt too big for my hands. Vivian's assistant led me to a conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking LA. The view was insane. You could see the whole city stretched out like a promise. Rosa. Vivian walked in, all smiles and power in a burgundy suit that probably cost more than I made in 6 months.
It's so good to see you again.
Please sit. Can I get you anything? Coffee? Water? Water's fine, thank you. She sat across from me, opened her laptop, and got straight to business. Okay, so tell me about your vision. What do you want to build? I took a breath and pulled out my beat-up composition notebook. I want to open a full-service salon that caters to Black women. Not just hair, I'm talking nails, makeup, skincare, the whole experience. A place where we can come and feel beautiful, feel seen, feel valued. Because most salons, they don't get us. They don't know our hair, our skin, our needs. Vivian leaned forward, interested. Go on. I've been working in salons for 10 years, and I've watched Black women go from place to place trying to find someone who knows what they're doing. We're underserved. And when we do find a good stylist, we're loyal. We come back. We bring our friends, our mothers, our daughters. That's a built-in customer base. What makes you different from every other salon in LA? Quality and community. I want to create a space that feels like family, where women can come for their hair, but stay for the experience. Book clubs, networking events, financial literacy workshops, everything we need, under one roof. And I want to train other stylists, particularly young Black women who want to learn the craft. Give back, you know? Vivian smiled, and I could see I had her attention. I love it. Now, let's talk numbers. How much do you need? Crystal's selling her salon for $40,000. That would give me an established location with existing equipment and a small client base. I'd need probably another $10,000 for renovations, new equipment, inventory, and operating costs for the first few months. So $50,000 total. I nodded, my heart pounding. $50,000. It sounded like a fortune. Vivian was quiet for a moment, typing on her laptop. Then she looked up at me. I'll give you $75,000. I blinked. I'm sorry, what? You heard me. $75,000. The extra $25,000 is for marketing, unexpected costs, and a cushion so you're not operating on fumes. But here's the deal. I'm not giving you this money. I'm investing in you. That means I own 30% of your business until you buy me out. You retain full operational control, but I get financial reports quarterly, and I have a seat on any major decisions. Deal? 30%. That meant 70% would still be mine. My salon. My dream. My business. Deal, I said, my voice cracking with emotion. We shook hands, and I swear to God, I almost cried right there in that conference room. After everything I'd been through, the betrayal, the loss, the shelter, the struggle, I was finally catching a break. One more thing, Vivian said. I'm tough. I expect results. Monthly reports, customer satisfaction metrics, growth projections. If you're not putting in 100%, I'll know.
Can you handle that?
Ms. Martinez, I've been putting in 200% just to survive. This is a dream come true. I won't let you down. Good. My lawyer will draw up the paperwork. In the meantime, go by that salon. I left that office walking on air. I called Crystal immediately. I'll take it. I'll buy the salon. Crystal screamed so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. Girl, I knew you could do it. When can we? Close.
Soon.
Real soon. 3 weeks later, I signed the papers. Crystal's hair studio became Rosa's Crown, a name I chose because every Black woman deserves to feel like royalty. The sign went up on a Tuesday morning, and I stood outside, with Jeffrey holding my hand, staring up at my name in gold letters. Mommy, that's you, Jeffrey said, pointing excitedly. Yeah, baby, that's me. I thought about Tim in that moment. I thought about his mama and his sisters and everyone who made me feel
small.
I thought about Shanice, whoever she was, wherever she was. And I smiled.
Because they didn't break me.
They tried, but they failed. If you've ever had someone doubt you and then prove them wrong, you know this feeling. You know that sweet, sweet taste of success after everyone said you'd fail. Drop a comment and tell me about your comeback story because I want to hear it. And if you're enjoying Rosa's journey, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. The best part is still coming. The first year was brutal. I worked 16-hour days, 7 days a week. I did hair, answered phones, cleaned the salon, managed the books, ordered supplies, everything. Jeffrey stayed in after-school care until I picked him up at 7 p.m., and then he'd do his homework in the back office while I finished up with clients. I lived off ramen noodles and hustle. I reinvested every dollar back into the business. New styling chairs. Better products. A fresh coat of paint. Slowly, Rosa's Crown started to transform from Crystal's old salon into something new, something special. My clients from Crystals followed me, and they brought their friends. Word spread. Girl, you gotta go see
Rosa.
She's amazing. Rosa's crown is the spot. Rosa will have your hair looking like $1,000,000. I hired my first employee 6 months in, a young stylist named Tasha who'd just gotten her license and needed a chance. I'm gonna work you hard, I told her, but I'm gonna teach you everything I know.
That's all I want, she said.
A chance. I remembered what that felt like, needing just one chance. So I gave it to her and she didn't disappoint. By the end of year 1, I'd paid myself enough to move out of the shelter. I found a small 2-bedroom apartment in Carson, nothing fancy, but it was mine. Jeffrey had his own room for the first time in a year.
I
Cried when I put sheets on his twin bed and hung up his clothes in his own closet. Mommy, why are you crying? He asked. Happy tears, baby. These are happy tears. Year 2, I hired 3 more stylists and a receptionist. Rosa's crown was booming. We were booked solid, weeks in advance. I started the community programs I dreamed about, monthly book clubs, financial literacy, workshops led by a CPA from the neighborhood, even a kids' reading program on Saturday mornings. Vivian came by every quarter to check on things. You're exceeding projections, she said during one visit.
I
Knew you had it in you. I'm just getting started, I told her. And I meant it. Year 3, I opened a second location in Inglewood. Yeah, you heard that right, Inglewood. Tim's family's neighborhood. I drove past Patricia's church every single day on my way to that salon. I never stopped in, never made a scene, but I knew word would get back to her. I knew she'd hear that Rosa, the one who wasn't good enough, now owned 2 successful salons. I hired 15 employees across both locations. I was making more money than Tim ever did. More than I'd ever dreamed of. And the best part? I did it without him, without his family, without anyone who ever doubted me. By year 5, I had 5 locations across LA, Carson, Inglewood, Compton, Long Beach, and downtown. Rosa's crown was becoming a household name. I was getting write-ups in local magazines. Beauty bloggers were featuring my salons. I even got approached about a reality show, but I turned it down. This wasn't about
fame.
This was about building something that lasted. I bought a house in View Park, a real house with a backyard and a 2-car garage. Jeffrey was 9 now, thriving in a good school, playing Little League, living the life I always wanted to give him. I paid Vivian back her initial investment plus her share of the profits.
You don't have to buy me out, she said.
We're making good money together. I know, but I need to own this 100%.
It's important to me.
She understood. We shook hands, and Rosa's crown became fully mine. Year 7, I opened 3 more locations. Year 8, 2 more. By year 10, I had 15 salons across Southern California, 200 employees, and a net worth I couldn't have imagined in my wildest dreams. I was on the cover of Black Enterprise magazine. From homeless to CEO, Rosa's crown story, the headline. Read. I did interviews. I spoke at women's conferences. I mentored young women trying to start their own businesses. And through it all, I never forgot where I came from. I donated to New Horizons Women's Center every year.
I
hired women from the shelter, giving them the same chance Vivian gave me. I sponsored scholarships for young Black women in cosmetology school. 10 years after Tim left me with nothing, I had everything. Success, security,
peace.
And my son had a mama he could be proud of. That I thought I was done with my past. I thought Tim was just a bad chapter in a story that ended happy. But life has a funny way of bringing things full circle. It was a regular Saturday morning at my flagship location in Carson. I was doing a consultation with a new client when my receptionist buzzed me. Rosa, there's someone here to see you. Says it's urgent. I'm with a client. Can it wait? He says his name is Tim. My blood ran cold.
Tim.
After 10 years of silence, he was here. What would you do if the person who destroyed your life showed up on your doorstep after a decade?
Would.
You hear them out? Would you slam the door in their face? Comment below, because Rosa's about to make a decision that will change everything. And if you've been invested in this story, hit that like button and subscribe. You need to see how this ends. I walked out to the reception area, and there he was.
Tim.
But this wasn't the Tim I remembered. The man standing in my salon lobby looked like he'd aged 20 years. His clothes were dirty and wrinkled. His shoes had holes in them. His face was gaunt, with hollow cheeks and dark circles under his eyes. He smelled like he hadn't showered in days. This was the man who left me with nothing. The man who stole my savings and abandoned his son. The man whose family made me feel worthless for 6 years. And now he looked like he'd been living on the streets. "Rosa," he said, his voice cracking. "Can we talk? Please?" Every head in the salon turned to look at us. My stylist stopped mid-cut. Clients whispered to each other. Everyone knew my story. I'd never hidden where I came from. "Outside," I said coldly. "You're not doing this in my place of business." We walked out to the parking lot. It was a beautiful Saturday morning, sunny, 75 degrees, the kind of LA weather that makes you grateful to be alive. Tim stood there looking like a ghost, and I crossed my arms, waiting. "I know you have no reason to hear me out," he started. "You're right. I don't. So make it quick." "Rosa, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything I did to you. Leaving you, taking the money, disappearing on Jeffrey." His voice broke. "I was stupid. I was selfish. I threw away the best thing that ever happened to me." "Is that supposed to make me feel something?" I asked, my voice ice cold. "Because it doesn't. I know. I need you to know that leaving you was the biggest mistake of my life. Shanice and it didn't
Work.
It was never gonna work. She took all my money, the $20,000 I stole from you plus everything I
Had.
She left me for someone else after a year. And my family? They turned their backs on me when I had nothing left to give them. Good, I thought. They all got exactly what they deserved. I lost my job," he continued. "I couldn't find another one. I lost my apartment. I've been living in my car for the past 6 months. And when that broke down, I've been on the streets." Tears started rolling down his face. "Rosa, I have nothing. No money, no home, no family. I'm at rock bottom, and I thought maybe you'd help me. For old time's sake." I stared at this broken man in front of me, and I felt nothing. No pity, no anger, nothing. "You thought I'd help you," I repeated slowly. "You stole from me. You abandoned your son. You let your family tear me down for years while you said nothing. And now you want my help. I know I don't deserve it." "You're right. You don't." "But Jeffrey," Tim said desperately. "I'm his father. Doesn't he deserve to have his dad in his life?" That made me laugh. A bitter, harsh laugh that came from somewhere deep in my chest. "His dad? Tim, you haven't been his dad in 10 years. You didn't send birthday cards. You didn't send Christmas presents. You didn't send child support. You didn't call to see if he was okay. You were just gone. And Jeffrey?
He's 14 now.
He's thriving. He's on the honor roll. He plays basketball. He's a good kid with a good heart. And he did all of that without you." "I want to make it right," Tim pleaded. "I want to be there for him. Now? Now you want to be there? Where were you when he cried himself to sleep asking why his daddy left? Where were you when he had to move into a homeless shelter and sleep on a twin bed with his mama?
Where?
Were you when he needed new shoes and I had to choose between that and putting gas in my car?" Tim had no answer. He just stood there crying. Have you ever had someone who hurt you come back begging for forgiveness? Someone who destroyed your life and then expected you to pick up the pieces for them? Tell me in the comments what you would do, because this is the moment where Rosa has all the power. And if you're still watching, hit that like button and subscribe.
Because you need to hear how this ends.
"I saw your salons," Tim said quietly. "I've been seeing them all over the city. Rosa's crown. I couldn't believe
it.
My mama told me you were doing well, but I didn't know. I didn't know you'd become this successful." "Your mama?" I raised an eyebrow. Patricia knows about this? He nodded. She's been keeping tabs on you. She regrets everything, Rosa. She knows she was wrong about you. Let me guess. She only regrets it now that I'm successful. When I was struggling, when I was homeless, when I needed help, she laughed at me, told me I was just a distraction. But now that I own 15 salons and I'm on magazine covers, suddenly she has regrets. Tim looked down at his feet. It's not like that. It's exactly like that. Your whole family only values people who can do something for them. And Tim, you're just like them. Rosa, please. I'm begging you. I need help. Just something small enough to get me back on my feet.
A job at
One of your salons, anything. I'll sweep floors. I'll clean toilets. I just need a chance. I looked at this man who once made me feel like I wasn't enough. The man who watched his family tear me apart and said nothing. The man who chose someone else and took everything from me, and I made my decision.
no.
Tim's face crumbled. Rosa. I said no. I'm not giving you money. I'm not giving you a job. I'm not giving you a chance. You know why? Because 10 years ago, I was where you are now. Rock bottom. Homeless.
Desperate.
And you know what you
Did?
You disappeared. You changed your number. You let your family block me. You pretended I didn't exist. I know. And I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't pay rent. Sorry doesn't feed a child. Sorry doesn't rebuild a life. I did that myself. I survived. Without you. I thrived without you. And I'll be damned if I let you ride on my success after you tried to destroy
Me.
What am I supposed to do? Tim asked, his voice desperate. What I did. Figure it out. Go to a shelter. Get into a program. Work 3 jobs if you have to. Rebuild your life. From scratch. But you're not doing it with my help, and you're definitely not doing it around my son. Can I at least see Jeffrey? Just once.
No.
Jeffrey doesn't need you showing up in his life now, trying to play daddy when you've been gone for a decade. He's got everything he needs. He's got me. He's got stability. He's got a future. And I'm not letting you mess that up with your broken promises and sob stories. Tim looked at me with tears streaming down his face. I really did love you, Rosa. I was just too stupid to appreciate what I had. Yeah, you were. And now you have to live with that. I turned and started walking back toward my salon. Rosa, Tim called after me. What about forgiveness? What about second chances? I stopped and turned back. Forgiveness is for me, not for you. I forgave you a long time ago so I could move on with my life. But forgiveness doesn't mean I owe you anything. You made your choices. Now live with them. I walked back into my salon, back to my clients, back to my empire, back to the life I built from nothing.
And I
Didn't look back. My receptionist looked at me with concern. You okay, boss? I'm perfect, I said. And I meant it. That night, I sat Jeffrey down and told him his dad had tried to reach out. I didn't sugarcoat it. I didn't make Tim the villain. I just told him the truth. Do you want to see him? I asked. Jeffrey, my smart, mature 14-year-old son, thought about it for a moment. Then he shook his head.
Nah, Mom.
I'm good. I got you. That's all I need. I hugged him tight, fighting back tears. I love you so much, baby. Love you too, Mom. And I'm proud of you. Like, really proud. That was worth more than any apology Tim could ever give me. 5 years later, Rosa's Crown has 25 locations. I'm opening my first salon outside California. In Atlanta, my hometown. I'm engaged to a good man named Marcus, who treats me like the queen I am. Jeffrey's in college on a full academic scholarship, studying business, so he can help run the family empire one day. And Tim? I heard through the grapevine he eventually got into a program, got clean, got a job. He's working as a security guard somewhere, living in a studio apartment trying to rebuild.
Good for him, I guess.
But that's not my concern anymore. I learned something through all of this. Sometimes the people who hurt you the worst are actually doing you a
favor.
They're removing themselves from your life so you can become who you were always meant to be.
Tim.
Leaving me was the best thing that ever happened to me, even though it didn't feel like it at the time. I built an empire from nothing. I raised an incredible son by myself. I proved every single person who doubted me wrong. And I did it with grace, with dignity, and without compromising who I am. So to everyone watching this who's going through something hard right now, whether it's a bad relationship, a financial crisis, a betrayal, whatever, I want you to know something. You are stronger than you think.
You are
More capable than anyone gives you credit for. And your comeback will be greater than your setback. Don't let anyone make you feel small. Don't let anyone steal your joy. And definitely don't let anyone tell you what you can't do. You are a queen. Wear your crown. This is Rosa, and this is my story. If it inspired you, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment and tell me, what's your comeback story? What are you rising from? Because I want to hear it. I want to celebrate with you. Remember, they tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds.
Stay blessed.
Stay focused. And never, ever give up on yourself.